Antonio Alacina, the day walker. Yeah, that's what we call me, the day walker. So
all right.
But thank you for joining us live on Facebook. I have some distinguished gentlemen, some intelligent, wise brothers, the way I see them. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to help us unpack and discuss a subject tonight. The topic is going to be, do black men receive love without a price? And so we're going to get into that. We're going to unpack it. We're going to give our commentary. We're going to do all of that. But I don't want to really tarry too much into that. I would like brothers to introduce themselves. We can start with Mr. Left-hand man.
All right. It's all good. Hey, my name is Jeffery Miller. I am a certified professional relationship coach. I specialize in helping men be better lovers, fathers, husbands, partners, and just all around get in tune with who they are as a man. I'm happy to be here. I'm looking forward to chopping it up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm Gareth Hunter. I'm a professional musician, music producer, and man, yes. Which one reason why I'm here tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My name is Donnavon Robnett. I'm into, I'm an ex-boxer, ex-bodybuilder, nutritionist. That's not ex, that's
current.
Thank
God for you.
Yeah, married, husband, so.
Okay.
That's
all
me,
right. Yeah. I mean, well, and I want to say something to everybody. And that is, when we talk about subjects like this, it's not personal. I may not feel it personally in my life, but we're dealing with culture. We're dealing with a cultural view, perspectives on the culture, things that are happening in the culture. It may not, because I've had a few people to be like, well, I don't know anything about being, single, for example, like, because they're married. So it's like, okay, you can't come on the show because you don't know anything about, but you was single before, you know what I'm saying? But it's like having a perspective, not that it's going on presently in your life. So this is something that, we're going to make sure, I just wanted to say that. And I want to get into the topic. I want to jump right into it, and anybody can jump into it. All right. I'm going to say my little spiel. And as we were discussing before the camera started rolling, black men, it seems, from what I've observed and what I'm hearing from a lot of guys, not just black men actually, but black men specifically. And it's a lot to this, but I'm trying to do it like this. When this black man from black women presents himself, he has to make sure that he's giving her something in order to receive something. It's almost like a quid pro quo. If I love you, then you're going to have to provide something to get this love. Mm-hmm. Now, my view on love is that when I think that most people have intense emotional feelings. I think that is the majority of people, and we call it love. Love, to me, is not an emotion. It's an energy. It's a force. And if everybody on the planet died right now, love would still be here, because love doesn't belong to me or any of us. It's something that was here, and it's a part of us, yes, but it's not an emotion. So we have intense emotional feelings towards someone, and then we say, I love you. So when a man comes to you and he can only provide something to you as a woman, is that the only time he will actually get what we have now termed love? Now, I believe in the function of a man: produce, provide, protect is the basic three. I believe in that, yes. I believe he is to do that, yes. But when there's a malfunction in that man, how are you treating him? How are you dealing with him? Is he able to get anything from you? And I ain't talking about, and I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna end it. I'm not talking about tolerance. See, sometimes people look at they think they're being patient when they're really being tolerant. There's a difference. Tolerance is not out of love, but patience is. You dig? And so most times, or many times I should say, we are tolerant or in this case is what I'm talking about. Women would be tolerant, and then they'd be like, well, you know, we with you. I've been with you through such and such and such, because you were tolerant. But were you patient?
Mm.
So what was the basis of that? Because tolerance is not out of love, patience is. So is it possible, or not just is it possible, is it a thing? Can black men receive love without a price that we have to pay in order to get it? I just want to know if anybody can jump in. Does anybody want to jump in?
It's gonna be interesting.
I think that word love is it's used wrong a lot of times.
Okay.
You know, to even define what it is. Because yeah, you gotta pay a price. And usually when it's real love, you're gonna pay your life is always the price for love. Now what you were talking about earlier, that those strong emotional feelings, that's lust. And a lot of times we receive that energy back that we put out. We're putting out lustful energy. Then you wonder why you with this person feels that, well, you got to get, because it's material things a lot of times that you're looking at that we're talking about now. I see that a lot now, and it's dangerous. You know, it's real dangerous because that's what everybody's been reduced to, a material thing or just a physical thing. No, no spiritual attachment, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think just really that word love needs to be defined. I'm in agreement with you. I don't believe it's an emotion. You know, if we were all gone, would love still be here? Yeah. So there's a source. So how do you have this discussion without discussing that source that defined love in the first place? Love also is a physical thing because it has to manifest physically from this source, right? So there are creative purposes, and that also, when you serve that purpose, equates to love. You know, so I mean, yeah, there's a price. I mean,
and the price is,
like I said, your life. You can't if you really, well, I'll put it this way: creative purpose. You created with a purpose, right? You serve that purpose. That is love. And if you serve that purpose with each other, since you were created for each other, then that is love. But if you're not serving that purpose, which so many people aren't, you know, man has a purpose. You spoke about it. You know, provide, protect, love. You know, teach, guide. A woman has a purpose. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of men don't like this, but their very creative purpose was to help. So that's also expressing love when you serve your creative purpose. Now, whether I'm worthy for you to do what you're supposed to do in your creative purpose has nothing to do with it. It's that source of love that you're being loyal to, that you're being obedient to. Not whether I'm whether I'm worthy or not has nothing to do with it. And it's the same with me. If I choose you, you know, then I have to serve that purpose with you. So in love, in the way that you see it, because what I'm seeing is the balance, the imbalance. I'm sorry, that is prevalent in the world we live in. Mm-hmm. That if indeed we were serving our function and purpose, then this discussion wouldn't even be happening.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So this thing that we call love,
mm-hmm.
First, is it something that's actually happening? Because I know when you marry, right?
Absolutely.
You know, you tell your wife, I love you. Like when I have an intense emotional feeling for someone, which I don't call lust, but when I have intense emotional feelings,
okay.
You know, it's like I'll say, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't break it down to be like, you know what? I have such an intense emotional feeling for you. You know, no. You know what I'm saying? I have to speak the language. But honestly,
mm-hmm.
when I'm told I love you, and I say I love you back, I'm speaking the language that they're speaking to me. Okay. But in my mind, what I'm looking at is love, is because see, you can have an intense emotional feeling for someone, and their degree of intense emotional feelings may not be the same.
Mm-hmm.
But when you love someone, the force that is who we are connects with what's in them. And there is no, I loved you, but you didn't love me.
Well, when that really comes down to it, you don't really say it. Think about it.
Mm-hmm.
When What act can you take and do the most that shows that amount of love? Are you telling me you love you, or you in the act of love? Now, my wife, I don't have to tell her I love her. She knows because of what I do.
Mm. And you know what? And that's where we are. If you didn't do that, my very, very close female friend has a dog.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this to people.
I'm sorry. we have an ongoing conversation about dogs.
We're gonna have to tell you about that one. Yeah.
Okay.
Women and dogs, yeah.
Well, you know, yeah, that is
I
something
might
else.
start sweating.
But she has a dog. And I've seen dogs. I've seen people say to me, my dog loves me.
Mm-hmm.
And my thought is, first of all, there are degrees of the capacity by which a thing that is created under the law that is created is able to do that, able to love.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, my dog loved me. And my answer or my response is always stop feeding it.
Mm.
Stop giving it affection.
Yep.
See if it love you then.
See, it's even there.
Because there's a price you're going to pay for this thing that you call in love, which is really just which is affection and something that they want from you. It's a quid pro quo. So as a human being, as a person, when I say, see, black men are in the position today where we, as a group, I mean, we've got some upwardly mobile brothers, but as a group, black men are in a position to where we are not moving at the same pace as black women in this society. We're not moving at their pace. If you look at every statistic, every measurable statistic that says black women most educated, black women entrepreneurs, black women are making more money
with the highest amount of student loan debt.
And they have these things.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
Yep.
But what has happened is in this society, it becomes a status that, in terms of economics, that puts them in a place to where they can do more and be more. And then now, how are they looking at you? What do you bring that makes me say, as a black woman, I'm saying that I can love you.
I mean, the fact that even they've gotten to that point, what do I bring? I'm gonna say something else. They ain't gonna like it.
I mean, run it.
I'm the prize. They not.
Ooh.
And that's where things have gotten messed up. They've been twisted. The order is out of order. That's the problem. That's why even love is out of order.
So the man is the prize.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's something.
Well, when you look at the market as far as availability, the item that's most rare tends to be the most valuable. And if women are complaining that men aren't there, and then statistically we see that men in our stratosphere is lower, then I agree, we are valuable. To your more valuable. To your original question, can a man receive love without showing what he can do? I'm gonna say yes, he can get it absolutely from his mother, born with it, and some of his sisters based on their sibling rivalry. Right. But what it really boils down to for me, there's so many women that have grown up that ain't never seen healthy masculine energy operate in a household. So they have this skewed view of what men do. And so when a real man pops up on her and he got things, she feels like he's too controlling. It's not control. This is our lane. Stay your ass out of it.
It's order.
Right. This is my lane. Stay out of it. And what tends to happen is they want to get over there too, because they feel like they can go anywhere they want to go, do anything they want to do. This is what I'll submit to women respectfully. In the same way that you earned your degree and that you built that business and that you put yourself in position to be as successful as you are, you must dedicate, I'd say, half of the amount of energy and time to learn how to be a good partner. Some of y'all educated as hell, but y'all are sorry partners. Some of y'all expect emotional intelligence, but don't know how to give it. So I'm submitting respectfully now to that successful woman that's wondering why you can't keep a man. It's because your degrees don't bring the type of value for men like us to really gravitate towards you. And that's why you're still sitting over there single.
Let me clear up prize. Prize not meaning that in the same way.
Don't clear it up. I love the way you said it.
Well, I mean,
Well, I want to say something about it when you finish.
Not in the way that women look at themselves as a prize today. You know, like some trophy bag. But I'm just basically going off of what you just said because it's order. Prize meaning that we come first, that we set the pace. We haven't been doing that, you know, and a lot of that comes from historical, you know, things that have happened that have set the tone for us to think a certain way, and in women too. So now order has to be reset. It ain't gonna be pretty. It ain't gonna look good. So a lot of things that are gonna be said, a lot of things that are gonna be done are not gonna look good, not gonna sound good. But I mean prize as in order. We come first because we set the tone. We supposed to.
Okay.
So that's what I mean.
So let me understand. When you are when a prize is something that you get.
Absolutely.
After you have worked for it.
Showing yourself worthy.
Showing yourself worth.
Or paid for it.
So kill them off. It's on your, bro, it's on
your beard.
Yeah, man.
It's going now. It's going now.
It's gone.
All right, thank you. Trying to disrupt my flow.
That was a woman.
Yeah. Just sit there and laugh at you.
You gonna shut up tonight?
I know, right? Should have went over there to him then.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's something you get. So as a man, because see, this is, I think the way I see it, like socially today, like there's this myth that in Atlanta is 18 men to one woman. I mean, 18 women to one man. That's a myth.
That's a myth.
All right, it's 1.2.
I think it's a little higher than that.
Well, according to the statistics I saw day before yesterday,
yeah,
it's 1.2.
I thought it was 8 to 1.
Oh no,
when it boils down to it.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah. I know, right? She probably like it, but it's 1.2 because the population just according to population, male to female. All right, and that's everybody, black, white.
Okay,
whatever.
I see the difference.
You dig what I'm saying?
Okay.
All right, now so what ends up happening in a case like that, but when you have the mentality that it's 18 to 1,
right,
then that can give you the view. I'm not saying this is yours, but I'm going to finish it up. That you the prize, because y'all out here scampering for a good man or a decent brother or whatever. So listen, I'm here, but y'all got to make y'all move for this him. You dig? Okay. So if you got that type of ratio, then on, like, for example, been in clubs and, you know, I've been in life. And in today's world, in social media in particularly, the quote unquote bad bitch is basically at the top of the food chain in the social world. Not that she's the most desired among real men, but in the socially speaking. So you'll see her on social media, and she has the biggest microphone because usually it's those women that have the most followers, the most people going to their page. So they had the biggest microphone. Okay, now take them. What seems to be misunderstood is there are 5,000, just throwing a number out, of them. All 5,000 of them believe they deserve a certain kind of guy. And the guy that they think they deserve ain't but 10 of them.
That's true.
All right. And so then what happens is the 10, because those 5,000, they're submitting themselves to them 10. They go out and let the 10 run through them, then end up mad. And now since they had the biggest microphone, they create a narrative as to what it is out here in dating. And then others catch on and they multiply it. All right. So understandably, there is this mentality that a lot of us have as men that I'm the prize. I'm gonna tell you how I look at prize right quick, and then I'm gonna let Gareth. The way I guess I see it, when you say natural order, we say order. The man is the creator.
Absolutely.
All right. The thing is, he creates through the woman.
Okay.
I have the power, yes, to create, but she is the nurturer.
But that's why she's supposed to have a mind like yours. She's supposed to have a mind after your mind.
She's supposed to reflect.
Exactly.
If you got a woman, the only reason I know you wise is for her.
That's right.
It should reflect in her. You're not gonna be, because you're supposed to be knowledge. She's supposed to be wisdom.
I don't know if I agree with that to a certain degree. I do.
Okay.
I do.
I mean, I don't know if your wife out here acting a fool. Did you see what happened with the Franklin guy and Megan Good?
Yeah, she said, Miss Good if you're nasty or something.
Oh, I saw it on her thing today. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Miss Good if you're nasty.
Miss Good if you're nasty.
But did you see they divorced?
Mm-hmm.
Are they finalizing?
It's pretty close.
Like,
they're going through the process.
Yeah, because she living single now, so you know what I'm saying.
It's
So
all foreign to me. I ain't even heard about
okay, he's a pastor guy, and they even wrote a book called The Wait, where they supposed to wait it, I guess, before they have sex or something. They got married, and I'm sorry, y'all, but I saw that, I knew it was doomed. And so, but people they want to clap, latch on and stuff like that. It's cool, I get it. Yeah. So they out of here now, and Miss Nasty, or Miss Frank, Miss Good, you dig what I'm saying? Because I call her Miss Good. Miss Good is out here like, I'm free and everything and all that now, but they was in this relationship. It was looked at as supposed to be all that. Mm-hmm. What happened? Because people hold these relationships up here as if they supposed to be some type of standard. You dig what I'm saying?
Well, they're looking for a standard because nobody has one. They're not operating off the original standard. That's why everybody, if you're in a relationship, we're going to stand on the same deck so it can work, regardless of how rough it gets, right? But if you got an idea and you standing on one platform and she got another idea and stand on another platform, she on a different ship than you on. You're not on a relationship. You on passing ships. It's not going to last.
Balance.
Balance. And this is what I was about to get to when it comes to them. It seems, of course I don't know, but it seems that Mr. Franklin was like, my wife is not reflecting me. Mm-hmm. When people saw her, they didn't see him. When my wife goes out, they should see me.
Everything should be a reflection of you.
Right. So my point is that is because when she's seeing her, lets the world know what I have here. She embodies that. Because if you don't have it, I mean, you can be an individual single man and be like, okay, no, I'm gonna show the world blase, blase, blase. That's fine.
You know, here's the part where I
deviate.
I don't necessarily deviate. It's just more of a counterpoint. The people that Brother Franklin was around were church folk. Church folk can be some of the nastiest, meanest, most judgmental folk out there.
This is facts.
When they first got married and she stopped dressing so provocatively, there were women that were still coming at her saying, you can't do this as a first lady. And he had to basically go off on one of the young ladies defending his wife. So from the things that I saw Megan do, she carried herself with a level of comportment that didn't reflect poorly on him up until recently. Now, a couple of roles she took recently had her in some compromising positions. And I believe that she took those roles knowing that the marriage was already done. So as a man, there's a part where we stand on our square where our wisdom and our judgment isn't to be questioned by anybody, because if I make this decision that this is my wife, if we want to get biblical, then I'm stuck with her. It's on me to build the right environment for her to flourish, not for other people to flourish. They will see her do well and know that I am caring for her, not necessarily that, you get to question me because of where you are in your square. No, this is my square. This is the foundation I built for my wife to fertilize. And she's fertilizing it because we're prosperous and we're still together. So that's just kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah, I can see that. I think that, and brother, you need to say something. But I think
I'm enjoying. But I think
that.
Go ahead.
I think that
know I get long-winded, so enjoy it.
I think that what happens is with the I was going into two things. One, the woman is, from my perspective, the balance of a man, and a man's the balance of a woman. See, I don't necessarily, but see, this is the other thing though, to that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily the person that says that I don't necessarily believe in submission,
I knew you were gonna say that.
because I believe in balance.
Well, what does that mean to you?
Well, no, not what it. Well, I'm gonna tell you what it means to me. Sub means under.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there, the prefix to that word means under. And the thing is that I understand what is many times supposedly supposed to be communicated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that, like, for example, no woman, in my view, in my observation, and from what I've seen, wants to be the head of a man.
Mm-hmm.
Not no
Shoot, I'm
not
sorry.
no woman. Now listen, if some,
I'm just
now if
listening
she's
right
all,
now.
yeah, you can get to it. Not not naturally.
Mm-hmm.
If she's off balance,
Right.
yeah, you have those kind out here. But if she has balance, she don't want to be your boss.
Mhm.
If she's balanced,
I disagree with
okay,
that.
go ahead. What does she want to do then? She want to be ahead of you.
Even to the point that, since we're talking biblically,
Mhm.
let's hit that.
Okay.
Where, and I go all the way back to the beginning. You know how I am, so you know where I go foundationally. Where Adam and Eve, the way it was. Now they were cursed.
Mm-hmm.
Man was cursed with one thing, woman was cursed with another. You don't see us wanting to have babies in pain. That was part of their curse, but they do want to run the household. They want jobs. So they even want to be to the point as men even to take on our curses.
Okay, well,
You know,
I
I'm gonna
disagree
go
with
out
that,
and
but
work.
you
I'm
know,
gonna
that's
go out
cool.
and do this. But this
Yeah.
is when you have a man in the house, because then they'll turn around and say, "Well, he ain't making what I want to make because I want to live in this type of house." No, you live by my means.
Okay, brother.
Yeah. Well, two things. First of all, historically, I believe we have to dispel the myth that women in our communities did not work. They've been working forever. If you think about the civil rights movement and the Montgomery bus boycott, you know the majority of the people who were boycotting that were impacted were the white women who didn't have the black women in their houses anymore to wash the dishes and keep up with the kids. They were telling our sisters, hey, don't do that no more because you're hurting me. They were fussing at their husbands because Mamie's not coming to work now. Now, I don't mean Mamie disrespectful, but I just want to say that our women have been working. If you look in the Hispanic community, Hispanic women be working hotels and restaurants. Every community well, not every.
Cleaning
There are
houses.
many communities where the women work and they contribute to the household. And when it gets to a certain level, then they stop working. So I submit this part respectfully. Now the submission part, I love this conversation because women be tripping. When you say sub, you're absolutely right. It means below. It means you're below the mission. And the man's mission is to make sure that you are covered. Now, submission ain't something you give to your doggone boyfriend. It's something that your husband has earned through his efforts and his decision making. If you can't submit to your husband, it means that your husband has not earned your respect or your femininity is off balance.
Well, if you even going with that, to talk about he has to do something to acquire or to earn her submissiveness, meaning that if they got married believing that, one, she's supposed to submit to him. It's not something that he has to be worthy of. She done married him. That's worthy enough, right? You've seen things good enough in him to marry, then you should want to submit to him. And don't get married and turn around, so I'm not going to submit to you, because earlier we talked about some people make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about your obedience to him per se at first. It's your obedience to why you got married in the first place, who created marriage in the first place. Man didn't come up with marriage. So if you enter into that union, you enter into it with the belief in the Most High, right?
Mm.
So when you enter into that marriage with the belief in the Most High, you're going to believe in everything else that falls up under it. If it don't, what you get married for?
Mm.
So you got to submit to him because of your obedience to the Most High, not because of your husband's worthiness.
Mm.
Okay, the word, I'm going to get back to that. We got like 25 seconds before we go to a break. And yes, sir, that's all I'm saying.
Fair point.
Submission, understood in that way, yes. She, in that way, is below the mission. She's the help meet. To help me meet my obligations.
And meet means that she was created to be able to adapt to whatever it is you need.
We'll be back.
Every breath until there's nothing left. The God of you makes me whole. When we make love, you need. Oh, there's
When we talk about how men are treated versus how women are treated and the feminist movement or feminist agenda, there seems to be a movement that are requiring that men and the definition of masculinity change. How do you feel about that? Does masculinity need to change for femininity or feminists to get their rightful place at the table?
No, man. I mean, it's like there's certain roles. I mean, it's like men and women are different. This whole push on femininity that we're all equal is just ludicrous, especially when you start looking at the transgender community. Let's just say that you and I are basketball players.
Okay.
This is really true. This is an example of a person who was a man. He was competing in track, and he sucked. But then he changed his gender and decided he wanted to be a woman and started competing with other women and started breaking records and smashing.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Antonio Alacina, host of Masculine Militia Podcast. As you can see, nobody's at the table right now. But if you're looking at this, if you're watching me right now, then you're looking at us as we unpack the topic for tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're getting something from it. And I want to hear your feedback. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to, say something. All right? And I want to also say this. Masculine Militia is not going to just have topics about relationships. It's going to be about family. It's going to be about finance. It's going to be about health. It's going to be about politics. It's going to be about race. It's going to be about relationships. It's going to be about all of those things and how they impact our community, what is happening in our community as it concerns those things. So we look forward to you, for you, to be looking at us as we bring it to you. Right now, we're at facebook.com/Alacina World Media, and soon it's just going to be on Alacina World Media. We're going to stream from our website, and right now, though, it's facebook.com, Alacina World Media, and also YouTube at Masculine Militia or Alacina World Media. So we're looking forward to keeping you with us, all right? We appreciate you looking. We appreciate it. We hope that we're satisfying your urge to have discussion about different things. Thank you. There you go. Y'all can hear me, right? Thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Antonio Alacina. You are at Masculine Militia Podcast. And if you've been here, and I hope you have, we have had a robust and good discussion between the three of us. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get to cool, self-identified, long-winded Gareth in a few minutes. I wanted to say some things, too. It was about 2 points. Submission, because I am definitely I don't like to say believer.
Advocate?
Definitely an advocate, thank you for that, of submission, where as a woman, she is definitely below the mission. Because as a man, if you're with a man and he don't have a mission, he hadn't embraced purpose. I mean, it's like If you with him and he hadn't done that, then I'm sorry. I'm not gonna go into what you should do. But just no, that ain't the thing. As a man, I must have a purpose. I must know something of my purpose. I must walk that purpose. I must have a mission, a worthwhile mission. And I'm the head. I'm the mover. I don't send my woman out in traffic. That's my job. You dig? It's like I'll tell someone when I'm talking about, I was telling some women that one time, and they were giving me the pushback. Mm. And I was like, okay, well, scenario. We in the bed together. We upstairs in the house. And I and you hear noises downstairs. And we hear voices. Nobody's supposed to be in the house but us. Mm. And then I look over at you and I say, go check it out, baby.
What you gonna do?
You gonna look at me like I'm out of my mind.
Yeah,
you dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because guess what? You know that's not your job.
Mm-hmm.
That's not your lane.
That's right.
You dig what I'm saying? So you must not just look at submission in terms of things you think you want to submit to. There's some things you might not want to submit to, but it all has to do with the mission. Mm-hmm. It's not like I say, well, get your butt out there barefoot and do something in terms of a submission type thing. I'm not talking about some abusiveness.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it from a masculine perspective. Mm-hmm. So that, yes. My brother here, one of the things, and I agree in one way, but I agree, but it's a little bit more. You bring up, and it's a necessary thing, you bring up the Creator. Mm-hmm. Because the basis of anything that we do, of course, comes out of the source. Absolutely. Like, I look at, people, I might look at, y'all some bright-skinned brothers, but I might look and be like, damn, I'm glad I ain't bright-skinned. Yeah, I know bright-skinned, it's an old-fashioned.
You told your age.
Like, bright-skinned men, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I might be like, man, I'm so glad. Like, you might be glad you light-skinned. I might be glad I'm dark-skinned. I'd be like, damn, I'm glad. Because, see, but the thing is that I realized I didn't make myself. Absolutely. I'm 6'6". It ain't like I was like somewhere deciding I'm going to be tall. Mm-hmm. I didn't make myself. People say, you have such a pretty smile. Thank you. I didn't make my teeth. I didn't do any of this. You dig what I'm saying? So I have to be grateful to the source from which I came that granted me what I think I want in life, or whatnot. So when we talk about relationships, when we talk about love, when we talk about our interaction with our women, at the center of it should be the source.
That's the
or
balance.
God.
That's the balance.
The thing is with that is that everyone don't see God and the source the same way. Like sometimes we'll look at, you see the Bible. Like for example, now you said she was cursed with something. I can't, I ain't on that side. You know what I'm saying? Because when I look at Adam and Eve, I don't look at that as necessarily literal.
Gotcha.
You dig?
Gotcha.
I think when it says in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, we don't know when the beginning was. But it showed when two minutes later when he created this Adam, so in my view.
Oh, it was thousands of years.
Oh, it was trillions. Yeah. So my point is like, and when we look at her, see, I don't look at the thought and the belief in our society that's been imbued into us has made us look at women as less.
Man, I'm gonna underscore that part.
Yeah.
Because religion, the more you get into it, the more you see how deep it can be. Just as an example, there is a deity named Asherah. Mm-hmm. Asherah is known for either being with a tree or a pole, holding fruit in her hand. What do you think Asherah's, one of her major attributes was? It was knowledge. So when you hear about Eve being tempted by a snake at a tree, given fruit, and you reference the name Asherah, you discover that Asherah is God's wife in the Old Testament. So I'm saying all this just to spur you to your own research, but to your point, The minimalization of the importance of the feminine balance is real. And black ladies, I want y'all to understand that we didn't do this. Y'all be coming at us like we are causing you to make less money. That's not us. That's the other folks. So when you go against us, you're really fighting against yourself.
Yes,
because the bastardization of religion, we didn't do that. The economic plight of our communities, we bear some responsibility. Primarily, we didn't do that because when we partnered with you, like we did with the Black Panthers, there were a lot of women who were in charge in leadership roles in the Black Panthers. The WIC program was a pattern after the Black Panthers.
That's right.
So when we did that, what did they do? They broke it up. So ladies, I promise y'all, we are not your enemies. We are your biggest advocates. We just need you to remember that and not turn against us in a way that's so visceral that it turns us off. Because there's only so much smoke you're gonna give to a real man.
Right. No
where
question.
he's hey, you know what? I'm not even gonna deal with you. I got other stuff to do. You can have that. We don't deal with smoke like that. Right. We might give you 1 or 2 chances. After that,
It's a problem.
Don't worry about it.
Let me say this just to clear this up. I saw you ready to say something. So
Yeah.
just like relationships, just like relationships and love, though. I mean, just that we kind of spoke about religion a little bit, but the truth will never be religion. And a lot of things that are told that way are misconstrued because there were lies behind it, just like there are lies behind relationships and the way they should be and the way people follow them now, taking them to be true. And it's not. I mean, that's a whole nother deeper subject. And I'll talk to y'all about that afterwards, but to give you a little truth on it. But I mean, that's what happens. People start believing in these lies like they did about scripture, calling it religion when it's truth. And the same thing about relationships, calling things love when they're not, and wondering why you're not getting a return on what you're putting out, but you actually are. That's just law. You can't get around that.
I mean, well, there's a law called reciprocity, yes, but but not quid pro quo. But
No, not that.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
No,
I just want to get him in here.
Man, I'm used to being in conversations, and one thing that I don't want to do is just speak for the purpose of speaking, especially when there's so much wisdom that's out. But the one thing that I'm hearing or not hearing that I think is a key issue with men, and I run into this constantly, is one word that is the glue for everything that we're speaking on: communication. How much of this stuff is communicated from a man to a woman about expectations in the relationship, expectations of what is submission, what is not submission. Brothers need to improve. And I wasn't trained. I grew up in a 2-parent household, but my father didn't pull me to the side and say, "Son, you got to be able to communicate what your expectations are. You have to be able to communicate what your heart wants, and most importantly, balance that with what your brain needs." I learned this years later. So it's like, what wisdom can we give out to the brothers really coming up, and even the brothers that are in our age bracket, to school them quickly on good communication skills? Because you can think all of this stuff you want, but if you don't have the ability to communicate it to this woman, nothing is going to be out there except for your lost expectation.
Let me say this right quick. I think you got someone, but I'm gonna say this right.
You see
quick.
me itching, chomping
Yeah,
at the middle
I
of
see
it.
shaking. But let me say this right quick because I want to give a baseline to communication. I'm gonna give you an example. I gave it before, and it sticks out in my mind because it was something that happened, and I learned. It was one of those points where I learned this thing, But I go back to my cousin George, Big G. 30 years ago, he asked me a question. Now, mind you, without putting all my business out here, I've been through a lot, even up to this point, of which he had not. He hadn't seen the world I've seen. I don't look like what I've been through, like they say, but he hadn't seen the world I've seen. He grew up with parents. He didn't grow up in the street. I mean, he didn't do the things and go through okay, so he was on that side. And he was a handsome guy. You still handsome, G. And he got basically his pick of physically attractive women. he was, it's like, but he asked me, he said, T, I just want to know, man. I just want to know. What you be telling these chicks? And I'm like, what I be telling them? He's like, yeah, I mean, because, bro, you been here, you this is happening to you. Yeah, like you came up straight-laced, you know, blah, 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 blah. Because in his mind, this is kind of how you attained the things that you wanted to get that is good in this world, you know. And I was the opposite. Mm-hmm. So he was asking me, well, what you, because the women that I was getting were women who were upwardly mobile, successful, you know, I don't care if she was a doctor, Indian chief, lawyer, whatever. And at the time I was like 22. And I was getting all of these things that I believe he saw as above me. Mm-hmm. But this is what I said. And this is what comes to communication, because communication to them, to me, is what you communicate to yourself. Because this is what I said to him when he asked me that. I said, listen, and it was just off the top of my head because I never thought about it. And I was like, well, honestly, bro, it's all, what I get is all I have in my mind to receive. That's it. What I got, the women or whatever, is all I have in my mind to receive. I didn't see myself getting anything less. It was all, and it wasn't like I was some high functioning guy on some other level. It was just simply the way I thought, that I see myself being with this woman, being in this manner, being this way, and that was just it. So communication. There are times when you, of course, have to use verbal communication to someone to remind them, because honestly, in particular, this stage that we're in, it's not a lot of teaching that you really want to do to a woman unless she is in your place or you're married. You know, there may be, you know, there are always levels. But as far as trying to give you some basic knowledge about me, about what we are doing, it's like there's a place I want to meet you in. I don't want to meet you in a place that now it'll take me 12 years to raise you up to this place, and then I'm going to still be rising up, so you'll never catch me. Or vice versa. Communication starts with what you're telling yourself. And if you do that, the brain, the way this thing kind of works is, most of what we do is subconscious. So we have most of all the trauma, all the things that we go through, everything. The brain, the subconscious mind records it, it takes it in. That is usually what we operate on, and that is usually what comes in terms of, you know, brain waves are based on electricity, and electricity travels on a frequency. So you send out what's mostly in your subconscious mind. So when you start talking about, well, I know women, you know, I want this, I want that, it's a lot of consciousness going on, but you haven't seeded your subconscious mind enough to where that is actually there, and it goes out to pull in or attract what you want. Because it starts with what you say to yourself. And you will attract and pull a certain degree. I ain't saying it to be exact, but you will pull a certain degree closer to you to where it becomes less difficult. It's something that you may have to say. I may have to say, well, sweetheart, I can't eat that cake. I mean, it's different. You dig? Or sweetie, I don't really like to, but I don't want to have to tell a woman that I don't go out and party every day, but she does. No, I already know right there. We ain't on it.
I have a question.
Okay, and then I was done anyway.
That's the law I'm talking about.
Yeah, let me ask you the question. The question is, so are you saying that I'm talking about communication of what my expectations are? At some point in the development of relationship between women that are associates, that's one thing. Women that might be more than associates like that, it's non-sexual situations and relationships. Mm-hmm. That woman that I choose to get into a relationship with, at some point, I believe that I need to be able to express to her verbally, this is what I want. This is my mission. Now, of course, I'm not talking about, you know, the fifth date that you're getting serious on. All of a sudden, you're going to lay out whole scroll of your expectations. I'm not talking about the crazy stuff.
The
Right.
42 laws of dating.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. When I'm talking about as the relationship develops and you see, okay, you know what, I'm really serious about this sister here. At some point, you have to explain or be able to verbally express, this is what I'm thinking. This is my expectation based on what I'm thinking. Because if not, you leave room for there to be assumptions.
Let me. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna come to you. The thing is, when you, I'm gonna use you, brother.
All right.
When your woman or past woman or whatever, when she found you or you found her, what were you doing as far as your mission? Because what I'm doing, when she finds me there or I find her while I'm in this mission, when she see me on this road, there's some things I don't have to explain to her. You understand what I'm saying? Because she see the work. She see the mission. She see what I'm on. I ain't got to say it. And if she can't see it, then that's a problem anyway. You dig? At least from my perspective. But I want to get brother.
No, that's where I was going. The philosophy of men having to communicate and being in tune with their feelings and articulate this, and he should understand me. When you really hear women expressing how they want us to be, it sounds like they're talking about another woman. And we don't talk and we don't communicate like that. So when I said earlier about emotional intelligence, women wanting that but not giving that, this is what I mean. You bring up an excellent point, but your actions should always speak better of you than your words. Your deeds should always speak better of your character than your words. What other people have to say to you pretty much is a side, is a bonus. But if you really are carrying yourself in your mission, people see it. So I'll submit this respectfully. When it comes to communicating, just like you said, the first thing is she got to see what you are, because then she'll know better. And some women will exclude themselves from even approaching you because they know you too good for her. You know, so when a man carries himself in his mission, that weeds out women who aren't worthy anyway. But then when those women approach, they see the elements that they are attracted to, and all we have to do is be consistent and real about it. Because believe it or not, women will adjust to the right man.
This is true.
They will move stuff around to the right man. Now, we will make some adjustments too. Don't get it twisted, but I'm saying there'll be a whole lot of cooperation and partnership when she sees a man moving in his mission. So it is important that we be able to verbally say it. It's even more important that our walk lets them know this is who we are, and that woman will know better than to bring certain drama to you.
And let me say this before we go to either one of you, because I wanted to go on that point, because the thing is, if she requires, like for example, I'm the kind of guy, and this may not go over well with people, I'm the kind of guy, I don't believe in expectations.
Wow, man.
But listen,
I want to hear that,
who you are.
No, but
Yeah.
I want to hear that.
yeah, because what happens is, first of all, when you have expectations, there are a couple of things. The higher the expectation, the deeper the disappointment. One. Number two, when you have expectations, this is what you go out to fulfill. I want to find someone to fulfill my expectation. And it minimizes and diminishes your ability to actually see them, get to know who they are. Because this expectation is all in your mind. It's all in your head. Instead of me saying, I want to see who she is, I got an expectation. Well, you know what? See, I expect, because the third thing is, I'm not drawing to me or even entertaining certain things anyway. So if I have to talk too much, tell her too much, it's like I'm doing too much. I'm doing so much to where she now is requiring things that make it seem as if she's not in balance with me or even close. Like I can't run that thing.
I got a
But
question.
to say you have no expectations.
Yeah,
that's
I
strong.
got a
That's
question.
strong statement.
Yeah. It's a
Because
strong statement, but it's true.
how do you Dang, I think I lost it. When you say you have no expectations, how do you meet a standard for what you want?
But see, that's what I'm saying. A standard is different.
But it comes with expectations.
No. Listen, I heard, not in here, I read Elon Musk. I did hear him. He did say this. He said, and it was very simple and true to me. He's like, if you decide that you want to do something in 3 years, it's going to take 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide you want to do something in 2 hours, it'll take 2 hours. See, if I have the standard, I'm going to either live up to it or I'm not.
Well,
it's not about
expecting
anything. I'm sorry.
Well, you personally, I can kind of get that a little bit, but when it comes to another person.
But see, I can't expect anything from you. To do what? My expectation of you is me. You ain't got nothing to do with that.
Okay, case in point. We're in here talking.
Okay.
You expect him to talk.
No.
So, but you made a comment about him talking.
I want him to talk.
Why everybody focused on me all
Because you want to talk.
He's trying to make it plain. He's trying to make it plain.
Yeah, that's it. I was just trying
Make
to
it plain.
Yeah, just kind of
You the convenient example, right?
Y'all get off me. I'm trying to enjoy my coffee and I'm enjoying the conversation.
I think the way that I've always, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, go ahead. 'Cause I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, the way I've always explained standards and expectations are this. I might expect you to be late all the time because that's your pattern. You're always late. So I expect you to be late. But my standard is I deal with people who get here on time. And so even though I expect you to be this way and you met my expectations, you never rose to my standards. Therefore, you're in this category of access to me. So that's how I normally separate standards and expectations, because it's like trust. I trust everybody to be who you are. And once I discover who you are, I can trust you. I can trust you to be bad with money. I can trust you to be, not you, but I can trust you to be a liar. I can trust you to be deceitful. And I know not to allow you but so far, if at all, in my circle. So that's normally how I separate, well, trust, first of all, and then standards and expectations.
In expectations and trust, I'm along with you. I don't think trust is the issue of trusting someone else. I think the only trust is to trust who you.
Yeah,
I trust me.
That I
you
agree
dig?
with,
And I can only trust you to be yourself.
Yeah.
And once I see that you late all the time, I ain't inviting your ass nowhere.
Right. So what happens is, in that trust,
I don't know time period.
There you go.
In that trust of myself, it takes away the expectation of anything from you. I perceive who you are. I see who you are. That's it.
I'm gonna take that and ponder on that a little bit.
You dig?
Well, see,
I
go ahead, bro.
No. I want to hear what you guys say.
I know, bro.
Whatever. Yo, go to hell.
We can stop.
But like, I came in here with an expectation.
Okay.
Now, my expectation, and largely, is due to the fact that I have a history with you.
Okay.
So I had an expectation I could come in here and I'd be safe, and I could talk or not talk, and not be ridiculed. Some of my expectations was wrong anyway. Right. But when you say that you have no expectations with someone new, I think there's still an expectation, especially as men, to be respected. Mm-hmm. I think that you don't think that expectation.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, but and I'm gonna tell you something.
I just think it's very interesting what you're saying.
Our lives and how we have lived, how we have things that have shaped who we are. Mm-hmm. They give us. Basically, to this point, who we and what we do. Like for me, because of the way I have lived, the way that I think, what it does is when I see trust, I trust myself. I trust my perception of you. I trust me, my perception of you, not you. And there ain't nothing wrong. I just trust me. I perceived you, well, I just met brother, but guess what? I perceive you all three as intelligent brothers, as upwardly mobile, as moving forward. You dig? As having wisdom. That's my perception of you. So I trust my perception of you. After that, what kind of do I expect you to be intelligent? No. I trust you to be intelligent. I trust me, rather, my perception of you. I don't expect it. When I go to a place, when I get a woman, let's say, when I have my lady, I'll be like, okay, you know what? Do I expect her to, what do you call it? Respect me? Mm-hmm. Not unless it's all based on, for example, when brother say he trusts everybody. See, my thing in the manner that he say he does, my thing about respect is like, I don't expect to be respected, but when I am not, that's when it comes. That's when my decision has to come in. How do I deal with it? Do I continue to deal with the person that's disrespecting me? But as far as an expectation of it, no.
I mean, I guess by definition is different. By action, it's the same thing. It is by defining it, or even philosophically talking about it, it's different. It sounds different.
And how does that really apply out in the real world?
It does apply. I mean, I can hear what he's talking about, but then when it comes down to action, it's the same thing. Okay. If I expect something because I have a standard, it's just explained a different way and how he reacts to it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. I'm doing the same thing. I'm just using a different terminology.
Like I generally, and I'm telling you, it's like, give me a situation where I should expect something, and I'll let you know that it's not there. But you can give me a situation because sorry.
You go to the store, and you go to the counter, right? Now there's an expectation there that what you getting ready to get, you got to pay for.
Is that what it's called?
That's what I call it.
That's what I'm saying. See, when I look at an expectation, it's something that I'm looking forward to based on what I believe I should get. Now, when I go to this counter, that is a process or a dynamic.
Transaction.
It's a transaction. It's a transaction. It's an understanding.
But you understand it because you expect.
But I don't. No.
I expect it to be $2.99.
But if it no, I saw it being $2.99. Let me tell you something. If I had some expectation, it would be that when I go to the counter, it's free.
I'll tell you what,
if I had that kind of
I'm gonna look that word up and dig into it and look at the etymology of it because it's interesting how you're putting it because there is some truth to what you're saying.
I also think that where you're coming from is based on a bigger principle though. It's based on self-accountability. If you go into a situation with anyone without expectation, how can they disappoint you about them? You're in full control about the outcome of the situation because it comes back to you.
Because of two things that brother brought up. Trust and standard. Do I have a standard? A personal standard? Yes. If you don't fulfill it, or if that person don't fulfill it, guess what? They don't fulfill it. It's not like I expect you to fulfill this standard. No.
Okay, I see the way you're talking about it. That's what I'm saying. We're doing.
I mean, even in practice, it's like we got 25 seconds. Even in practice, and we can start back with you on the next one. Even in practice, it's not an issue of me expecting something from someone. See, we've become so in love with a word like that. You dig what I'm saying? That, like many words and like many things, do we really examine it? Because if I trust myself and I have a standard, what expectation? We'll be back.
Every breath until there's nothing left. The God of you makes me whole. When we make love, you need.
When we talk about how men are treated versus how women are treated and the feminist movement or feminist agenda, there seems to be a movement that are requiring that men and the definition of masculinity change. How do you feel about that? Does masculinity need to change for femininity or feminists to get their rightful place at the table?
No, man. I mean, it's like there's certain roles. I mean, it's like men and women are different. This whole push on femininity that we're all equal is just ludicrous, especially when you start looking at the transgender community. Let's just say that you and I are basketball players.
Okay.
This is really true. This is an example of a person who was a man. He was competing in track, and he sucked. But then he changed his gender and decided he wanted to be a woman. And started competing with other women and started breaking records and smashing.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Antonio Alacina, host of Masculine Militia podcast. As you can see, nobody's at the table right now. But if you're looking at this, if you're watching me right now, then you're looking at us as we unpack the topic for tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you're getting something from it. And I want to hear your feedback. You know what I'm saying? So don't be afraid to, say something. All right? And I want to also say this. Masculine Militia is not going to just have topics about relationships. It's going to be about family. It's going to be about finance. It's going to be about health. It's going to be about politics. It's going to be about race. It's going to be about relationships. It's going to be about all of those things and how they impact our community, what is happening in our community as it concerns those things. So we look forward to you, to be looking at us as we bring it to you. Right now, we're at facebook.com/Alacina World Media, and soon it's just going to be on Alacina World Media. We're going to stream from our website, and right now, though, it's facebook.com, Alacina World Media, and also YouTube at Masculine Militia or Alacina World Media. So we're looking forward to keeping you with us, all right? We appreciate you looking. We appreciate it. We hope that we're satisfying your urge to have discussion about different things. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for staying with us. My name is Antonio Alacina, Masculine Militia podcast. The topic actually is, do black men receive love without a price? And as you can see, if you've been with us, we've been unpacking it from many dimensions, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to actually tie it up somewhere at the end. But what we've been talking about is, I'm getting it like, you dig what I'm saying? I'm feeling the energy. I'm loving it. So hopefully you are, you know what I'm saying? I want to come back with brother Jeff because of it was intersectionality. It is the intersectionality of, because we've gone through the
standards and expectations,
trust. We've done those things. Submission, and what we've done is I want to basically make it applicable to our culture. Okay, because in the culture of black people, culture is how that is imbued in our mentality, who we are. So what I want to do is the intersectionality of race, because I mean earlier, it was like it ain't us, because we don't. I'm gonna say this, and this is gonna clear where I'm trying to go, because I'm kind of rambling. We live in what I look at as the male system. The male system. The male system. There is not created by us, black men. When I say the male system, it ain't created by us. But there's an intersectionality that ends up happening in terms of our privilege in it. So women, black women, have begun to look at us, many of them, as just as culpable for their oppression, their suppression, and supposed neo-control of them as those who actually created the male system. So the male system is rules, I'll say rules at this point, that are created for males, by males, for the benefit of males. And for the oppression, suppression, and control of women. So many of our women have begun to feel as if they are being oppressed even by black men, not just on an individual level, but on a institutional and systematic level. So what has happened is there's an intersectionality as to where it's like when you say, Brother Jeffery, when you say, so he's like, don't blame us. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to assist. We're trying to, bring balance. We're trying to do these things, but many of them don't see it like that. So a lot of times we have a culture now of black women who are simply in rebellion to anything that the black man has to offer. There are segments of the society that are not. There are segments of us that are not. But when I'm looking at the general culture, it's like, no, I'm in rebellion. They're not saying this verbally, but of course, I'm in rebellion. And if I'm going to put up with anything that you have, you got to bring something. You got to bring something. And even if you bring it all of what they say, it's never going to be enough. Because there's a price that you have to pay. And guess what it is? Like my brother said earlier, it is your life. But as soon as you give it, I've observed this. I'm a life coach also. I have clients. Mm-hmm. And I've observed this with clients where no matter what this man has given them, all the things they say that they want is never enough. They always move the goalpost. The price that he has to pay is always different. You dig? So I'm saying that culturally, is this an issue? Is this an issue with black women where they expecting a price?
It's how you pointing to both. People not hearing what's happening.
You.
Wow.
But it's simply an issue of do we have to pay a price? And see, when you say with our lives, see, in balance, I believe in reciprocity. I believe in that law. Because in that law, there's balance. There has to be balance. It's just like, I'm going to say this. It's just like when I see people be like, you know what? You reap what you sow. Karma, for example. Mm-hmm. Well, karma actually is made by, if I do 2 bad things and do 2 good things, and I balance it out. It don't come back. You dig? But it doesn't, because it's balance. It's the balance in the universe and our energy that it's not an issue of just because you did something to me, the karma gonna come back and get you. Like karma is something I done sent out as a hitman or something. You know what I'm saying? No, it doesn't work like that. So there's balance. So when the balance is there, then the life that we talking about is the price. Then that's cool. But we're in an imbalanced state. Oh, absolutely. So what is the price? Or is there a price? Can black men actually be loved? And I don't mean tolerated. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about, do you get love without paying a price? And I ain't talking about the price being protect, produce, provide. I'm not talking about balance. Gotcha. I'm talking about in a society of imbalance. Do we do, or you get love without that? So when I'm gonna say this, your wife, you married, your brother married. Ain't no price you got to pay. I'm just asking. I don't know.
You're talking about outside of the provide, protect, love, teach, and all that stuff, right?
Outside of that. Right now, if your wife, if you would be like, you know what? I can't get you a Christmas gift. I don't think he's celebrating. Mm-hmm. But I can't get you a Valentine's Day gift.
Very observant. Very observant.
How would she respond? Because I had a situation a long time ago where a woman I was dealing with, back then I was hustling, she was getting stuff. We met in end of March. She was getting stuff all the time. We were going places, doing things. I didn't get her a Valentine's Day gift. She went off.
Even that idea, because you said it earlier on, this whole design, this system of being men and what we're supposed to do was outside of the original design of men what they're supposed to do. And that new design didn't have us in mind. We just kind of picked it up as time went on, where we were let in and allowed to participate, as our women were too. So they participate in the mindset. Oh, you got to get me this. That was never originally us in the first place. This is something we picked up along the way, and that design, like I said, didn't have us in mind.
But we're here now.
We are. But at the same time, the design is still for the original who it was designed for, not us. That's why we don't.
Speak up a little bit.
That's why we don't function properly in this design, because it wasn't designed for us.
Okay.
We're here, but it wasn't originally designed for us. We weren't in mind when the design was put together.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely sure, because
So
we
when-
designed off something. We were designed to function in a totally different area.
Well, when I'm asking, and I'm gonna let this go. When I'm asking, when you say design,
Mm-hmm.
the design of the society today
Mm-hmm.
is not, from my perspective, from the creator.
Exactly. That's the design that we
So
were
we were in
born of.
mind then.
No. The fact that, let me put it this way, the fact that we're here, even just in this country, is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Americanized, right?
Right.
Everything over here, the way it was designed, was not designed with us in mind. Society's functions. We just picked it up along the way and started, and we're let in, where they were comfortable letting us in. And we picked up that same mentality, And as far as women being oppressed, they feel that they're oppressed. I mean, every last one of us over here is still oppressed.
The part about the letting us in, even that was strategic, because it wasn't up until they let us in that our economic power base dissolved, that we leave our neighborhoods and run to their neighborhoods because we thought they were better, that we left. Well, first of all, they started taking hospitals and banks and places of manufacturing out of our reach. And once they did that, our fathers who were working hard, bringing stable money home, they couldn't do that anymore. And so even them letting us in was a design to put us in a position not to be able to flourish. When they established the GI Bill to build the white middle class, they made sure that we didn't get any of that. No, you can't have this now. This is just for these people over here. And it was a successful program. It built the white middle class. They don't want to do that for us. So and since Martin Luther King, we recently celebrated King Day, one of his least famous speeches goes on to illuminate all the things that the American government did for white people. And he said, we are marching and we're coming to get our check. Because it's not that America's promise isn't rich. It is rich. It's just kept over here. So there's one brother, I'm almost done. There's one brother named Jay Morris. Might be Morrison, I can't think. But Jay Morris, he's in Atlanta now. And he has this academy about real estate. Yeah. And he's appealing to brothers who are on the block. He's like, man, look, I'm going to teach you how to get into real estate. Now, he's not saying I'm going to teach you how to flip your money in real estate. Right. But he's saying I'm going to teach you how to get in real estate so you don't have to be on the block. You can be the block. You can own it. And it's wildly successful. There's a man named Mark, I can't think of his last name for some reason, but he opened up a call center in Clayton County in South Lake Mall. That mall was almost dead. Yeah. He put a whole business in there in the hood so people in the hood could have jobs. He has one in Charlotte. He has one in Dallas. He has one in, they just opened one in Detroit. And he is purposely going into underserved communities, our communities. Here's my point. Yes, this system was not built for us, but we are so amazing that we can take anything you throw at us and we can build something out of it. It's just that when we do it in concert, we move faster. So our women right now are feeling like they're the only ones who went through slavery. Black women had to go through all this during slavery as if black men did not. And we were just idle witnesses to all this stuff. But that is because they strung us up and beat us in front of the mothers. They took the kids away from the mothers. They did all this cruel stuff to the men and the children in front of the mothers to instill that fear that's been passed down to our women right now. And more than anything, I think our women are scared that I done got all this stuff and I'm going to lose it because I ain't got no masculine leadership around me. Last thing, leadership. That's what's incumbent upon us as men. Because if you know anything about leadership, leadership is not about you. Leadership is about service. So if you're leading the right way, the people that are following you, if they are growing, they will run through a wall for you. So if we lead, first of all, ourselves the right way, we strategize and come with a plan, I'll submit to you that just like the young lady who opened Slutty Vegans and the guy who opened Big Dave's Cheesesteak, they got married, or either they're dating or they're close to married, and they brought $2 million franchises together. That's what I believe we have to do more of as men. Wherever we are, we got to start, strategize, work the plan, and just lead.
That's why they think, that's why the price to be paid for love, because it's the mind of the oppressor. I gave it a cardboard cutout, he drew a face on it. This is what I'm talking about. That type of mindset was destroyed. That's why.
Yeah.
This is why they think the way they do now. That's exactly why they think the way they do.
And what I wanted to ask, and I want to start this way. I want to do like this, and all the way around.
My middle finger on my
I'm just saying. The impact on Black women in their relationship with us. And I'm going to start it, which we can, where we can kind of see it, and so it's usually traditionally seen socially about 1964. The impact, and how did their relationship with Black men, how did it begin to change, and how did that lead us to where we are now, starting with you?
That's when the feminist movement really started to kick up. And so what ended up happening is some of the women who were becoming mothers were growing up in that time frame. And then when it hit my generation, born in 1970, those mothers were married and they were starting to receive the fruits of the feminist movement. Now, and it might have been intentional or unintentional, but one of the consequences that has affected our community was young women hearing and being told, you don't need a man. You can do it all on your own. You can be everything. You are equal to a man. I don't believe men and women are equal. I believe they're balanced too. But that messaging was just drilled and drilled and drilled. And now those women have grown up and had children. And it is the children, our children, who have this staunch, I don't need no man, and men are bad because of the unintended consequences of the feminist movement. So here is how we address it as men. This is the price we have to pay. There is some sacrifice that's required of us being more present. In Mississippi, several months ago, these men went to this school where the kids had been fighting week after week after week. Sir. They were fighting, and all they did was show up and walk the hallways. No more fighting. Stuff like that.
Yes, sir.
Because all they did, they cleared it with the school, cleared it with the school board. There's certain ways they can interact with kids and certain ways they cannot. But all they do is walk the hallway. Hey, where you supposed to be? All right, go ahead and get to class now. And masculine energy. Yeah. Showing up, what's the old G.I. Joe? And knowing he's half the battle. Showing up for us is half the battle, because when we show up, we show out. When we show up the right way, we show out. So that's how I wrap it to 64, bring it forward.
When you talk about that feminist movement, I agree 110%. And if you ask yourself, who was that headed by? That was designed. And I can't remember the lady's name, but she was actually recruited out of high school, either by FBI, CIA, her last name was Joyner.
Gola Steinem.
Steinem, there you go. And so, yeah, that whole thing was orchestrated. Yeah. And that's what caused a lot of exactly what we're sitting here talking about. You know,
in the feminist movement, the precursor. Well, actually, that was the undercurrent of just about everything. But it was a joint effort. It's like what's this thing we do? Gentrification. Somehow we see gentrification as like, I don't know how we see it, to tell you the truth. We don't understand that the banks are involved.
Absolutely.
You dig? The real estate companies are involved. You dig what I'm saying? the
Politicians.
the
Red
politicians
line.
are
In
involved.
some cases, other governments are involved.
Other governments, yes, are involved in gentrification. So when they want to move black people anywhere and let white people move in, how do we think this is happening? It's like it's almost like we just think it's just no. All of it's a systematic effort.
It is.
You dig? So, like that, the systematic effort took place to separate and keep black men and women separated, and to give black women this view of black men. And I go back to 1964 because it was more prominent in terms of the start of it, where they had already started systematically taking factories out of the cities.
Exactly. Because you were getting that type of education in high school.
Yep.
Right.
You
Even
go
when I was in high school,
household, you
we
go
were going
down
to
the
home ec.
household.
Vocational
Yes.
programs and stuff like that. He took all that stuff out.
Yeah.
Yes. So here we are now. We in starting before I was born, slightly, where the in 1964 we had the start of government housing. We had the start of the projects right here in Atlanta. You dig? We had the start of the projects, and so government housing had the thing to say to black women, you can get housing and food, but he can't be there.
Exactly. I witnessed that firsthand.
Yeah.
I witnessed that firsthand. I was actually standing there, and this is where I went through the whole pregnancy, and with my wife, but my ex-wife, but and the thing is, when we got to get the checks, the WIC checks for the food and all of that, it was actually a white lady, Caucasian lady, sitting behind the desk. I'm standing there with who's my ex now, and baby hadn't been born yet. She's still pregnant. He was on his way. She said, "Oh, it'd be easier to get this if you you write on the paperwork, you don't know who the father is." Now back then, I was 20 years old, so I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, I'm right here. She said, "But yeah, it'd be easier for her to get this if she says she don't know who the father is." Now, I don't know what seed that might have planted in her head at that moment, because if I still remember it today and it had that much of an impact, what kind of impact did it have on her? We have our first disagreement. Oh, I don't need this dude. I can get all kind of assistance.
Imagine that being institutional.
And it is.
It becomes cultural.
It is.
And so from mainly starting about 64, it was a program that was happening, but they really put the thing in. I think it was Nixon. They really not Nixon, but the other guy.
Ford.
The Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Okay.
All right. And then at the time you had the civil rights movement. You had all these things happening, and so here it is institutionally now. They're telling black women, you don't need him. Then take all the jobs. We're not getting jobs. We're not working. So the view of us now is that we just don't want to work.
Lazy.
You dig what I'm saying? It was like, so now she's looking at us as, you can't protect her, you can't provide for her, and you can't produce for her. Exactly. This is an institutional thought that is put into our culture.
They set the tone and the narrative.
Where black women have basically to this day. So if we're talking about black women who are like, you know what? Yeah, because black women, we do this and we do that. I've heard this. It's like, wait a minute. First, you're a double minority, just on jobs. Double minority.
So it's a 2-for-1 deal for the corporation.
You are going to be looked when you go downtown. I know when I go downtown, almost any city, but definitely here, I see black women in these office buildings in terms of the majority. I worked in the office building, Georgia Pacific, some years ago, and I was one of a handful of black dudes in that whole Georgia Pacific. Arthur Anderson and Company had 6 floors. They went to hell because they was in an Enron situation. But
that'll do it.
Yeah. But I was working there, and they had 6 floors.
Yeah.
I worked on the 17th floor, and man, let me tell you something. I was a young dude. I was 21. It was like I was trying to do right. I was 21. I was one of a handful of black. I mean, when I say a handful, I mean, it may have been about 4 black guys. All the white girls wanted to have sex with them, including me. You dig what I'm saying? Okay, what the white boy say? This was what was happening. You dig? On the slick. You dig? They was, my supervisor calling me in her office. You know what I'm saying? You don't go out with us because they go out after work and all that stuff. I didn't do all that. So the mentality of black women is that they got it on their own. That they've just done all this stuff, not knowing that the government has made sure he holds you down and push her up.
I think they know that. At this point.
Well, many
I
of them
don't
don't.
think a lot of them do.
Many of them don't,
Yeah.
because it's something like in the Bible, Exodus, one of my favorite books. It says that Pharaoh gathered his wise men, and they said that the children of Israel are growing exceedingly great in multitudes. And then he said, let's deal wisely with them. Keep the female, kill the male. That has been the objective from day one.
But that type of survivalist mentality has been passed down into women, because that generation of women who experienced their men, their husband, their sons being killed, passed it down. And when you think about what the women in America through slavery experienced, it's been passed down. So I don't fault women for having the survivalist mentality, because you got to figure out a way to survive. Here's the part where I would say that they have to look at the bigger picture. They're the top crabs on the barrel, but they're still in the barrel. The top crab now, they can almost touch the top of it and feel like they can crawl out of it, but they're still in the barrel. We have to start focusing on who put us in the barrel and not pulling each other down in the barrel. The whole community, when we stop focusing on black women and we stop focusing on black men and we focus on black family, that repairs most of the damage in our communities. It addresses daddy issues. I don't mean just hanging in there just for the sake of the kids. I mean healthy families. It addresses daddy issues. Thank you.
To have more generations.
2 generations of sacrifice. Yeah. 20 years worth of sacrifice from our empowered women and our empowered men. 2 generations. It will be incredibly transformational in our communities. That's how much money we got and how much talent we got. All we got to do, 2 generations of solid partnership.
But you got to have that generational mindset.
I think, too, that if you look at it back to the original question, black men can receive love without paying a price. For me personally, and this is the difference, even when you take your wedding vows, she's vowed to respect you, not love you. So there's a difference between love and respect. And what I'm willing to pay the price for love, but also the reason why I expect to be respected is because I've already paid the price. You should see that in the way that I carry myself, in the way I conduct my business, in the way I conduct things. You got to kill a moth in here, brother. That's wild. But just flat out. I know, right? But that's my thing. So can a black man receive love without paying the price? No, and I do agree that it is his life. But I think his concentration should be on being respected in the house, because when he concentrates on being respected, he first concentrates on being respectable.
How do you do that?
How do you do that? That starts before you get with the woman.
Okay.
And I also think the one thing that you can do that, and this maybe it comes with a little age and a little wisdom or whatever, but I keep my counselor on deck. After about age 30, between age 30 and age 35, most men in life have experienced enough trauma where you need to sit down and talk it through with somebody, and I believe in counseling. I believe in therapy. I believe in meditation, things of that nature. And you need that. That helps you maintain your spirit, man, which is what we are. So with all of that, that leads me to stay respectable to myself in my own mirror.
So it starts with you respecting yourself.
It starts with you respecting yourself.
And that's all I'm saying. Because as far as women, or as far as men for that matter, it's very difficult for somebody to respect me, and I don't have respect for myself.
And they can smell it.
And having respect for myself has to do with what I do in terms of the mission. Because if you don't respect yourself, I'm sorry, other way around. If you don't have a mission, how can you respect yourself?
Right.
If you don't have purpose, how can you respect yourself? And then you're not respecting yourself. You expect others to
respect it.
Yeah. Respect
They
you.
expect.
That all comes with self, knowledge of self. That's how. I mean, because you can't respect yourself. You don't examine yourself. You don't know yourself, or you're not truthful with yourself.
And let me say this and then let's finish. Because I'm going to forget it. If you have self-knowledge, I was telling someone about self-confidence. Because it was like, and I'm going to come back around to that. Because it was like, well, these people, I guess women, I see a lot, and some men, but in terms of women, the things that they're doing supposed to be showing that they have all this security and confidence. They get naked. That's because they're confident.
Appreciate that.
They do all these things because they have and it's no. See, confidence comes from self-knowledge. If you don't have self-knowledge, the lower your self-knowledge, the lower your confidence. Your real confidence. I ain't talking about this expression of insecurity that we've now called confidence. You dig what I'm saying? So I want to bring that out because self-confidence is definitely.
Well, I agree with you on that. I'll just say, I guess I'll say it in a little more details, that knowledge breeds confidence. Self-knowledge breeds self-confidence. Because, you can tell that in the things that you acquire as far as knowledge in certain areas. You can't be it in your job, your career, what you do. You acquire knowledge in that area. You're confident in that area, but then when you acquire knowledge of self, then you are self-confident.
Yeah.
I saw something today, getting to the point of it. This young kid who was, not doing very well in school decided that, he was going to try to go to college. He went and took the SATs, took the test, and his score came back like 1,400, something like that, something really, really high. And he was like, wow, his mother was like, did you cheat? And he was like, no, I just sat down and I just answered the best I could. So he started getting offers to school, and he said, you know what? I'm going to actually start applying myself. I'm going to study. His grades came up. He got a scholarship and all this other stuff. And while he was at school, he was notified by the SAT agency that he was one of 12 students who got the wrong test score. Oh, wow. He actually had like a 700, some low-ass score. But what changed was his belief system. He started believing that he was a 1,400 SAT student, and his whole action started to change, even though he wasn't. So to your point, when you have that knowledge and you let go of all the self-imposed limitations or the external limitations, then you grow. I got a friend, he rescues cats. That's all he does. And people were like, man, you live in your van and you drive around rescuing cats. This dude's been on national radio, national TV. He's doing very well for himself. The Humane Society, PETA, all these people are contacting him because he's living in his purpose, and it's put him in front of great people. When you do that, it doesn't matter what you do. When you live in your purpose, things come to you. You get hot. You start to attract the stuff. You don't got to chase the dollar chases you.
That goes back to what you said.
That attraction.
Exactly.
Yes.
It goes back to what you said.
Yeah. And so the thing is, brothers, as I think what happened is there is a price. The thing is that it's not a pejorative thing. It's not a bad or negative thing. You dig? Because of course, asking the question, it can seem like that. But it's not a negative thing because as men, we have a function. We have purpose, hopefully. We do have purpose and function by nature. Embracing that purpose. Finding it. Discovering our gifts so we can apply them to it. When we look at the price that we have to pay, it's like to protect, produce, provide is the basic three characteristics of this function, of this purpose actually. It's necessary, and that's a price I'm willing to pay. In order to do that, you definitely have to invest your life.
Mm-hmm.
You got to invest your life. It has to be a part of who you are. It doesn't mean that we're gonna, go through this life, this little short time that we're here, and be on some type of perfection, because we're not. But we must invest our lives, and it's just like Brother was saying a little earlier. To invest in 2 generations. See, that's an investment.
Mm-hmm. 2 generations,
and it's a life investment.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is a price we have to pay. And so the love that we get is not it's not this emotional love.
Right.
It will be the balance that comes from it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm talking about love, I'm not talking about, some affection that somebody gives me, or they say I love you, ooh, or I'm gonna give you some sex, or whatever people equate to being love.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
And so and so I wanted to wrap it up. All right, because our cameras are having difficulty. Sorry. But that is the price. That's a price that we can live with.
Mm-hmm.
You dig what I'm saying? Is invest in our lives in the protection, production, and provision. And this is just the basic characteristics. We can get into more of that later, hopefully, some other time. I'd like to thank you all for coming. Thank you, Brother Jeffery, Brother Donnavon.
They own it.
No, I had your name backwards, but and Brother Gareth, thank y'all for coming, man. Listen, I got a lot out of it.
Shoot, I got a lot.
You dig what I'm saying? I got a lot
Definitely
out of it.
enjoyed it.
I hope that
Same
you all got a lot out of it also. You can catch Masculine Militia at Facebook.com, Alicina World Media. YouTube at Masculine Militia, Alicina World Media. AlicinaWorldMedia.com. And we're out. Thank you.